Did you figure it out yet?
I have a couple options, and I think I'm gonna
Think on
like
it?
someone ordering from an Olive Garden. Just get to me last, and I'll be ready.
Okay. God, I haven't been to an Olive Garden since, it was decent.
I've actually never been to Olive Garden.
You are from Maryland. How have you
I know.
not?
Well, because my parents didn't like it. My mom,
That's
I think,
fair.
went one time. She was like, "Oh, I didn't really like it," so we just never went.
No, that's
We
fair.
would go to different
That's fair.
places.
To be honest,
Bertucci's, though.
Oh, Bertucci's.
Here, listen. Everyone needs to know. Olive Garden, mid at best. Bertucci's, though.
hello, friends. Welcome to Gamers Gab, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I'm Artsy from the Artsy Gamer. I make art, I play games, and I encourage others to do the same. And joining me today is the one, the only EJ from EJ Plays. We are going to be talking about, oh my god, what was the title that I was going, oh, it was like Rated M for Majesty. It's still a work in process. But basically, we're going to be talking about 16 plus spaces for cozy games and content creators. So EJ, if you would you do a quick intro of who you are and we'll get into it?
Of course. Well, hello. I'm EJ of EJ Plays. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm a queer Animal Crossing and other stuff content creator. I have a YouTube channel called EJ Plays, and over there I upload some Animal Crossing build videos, general Animal Crossing content videos, Coral Island stuff, Stardew Valley stuff, and I guess most prominently, and my personal passion project, Last Crosser Standing, which is a survivor-inspired game taking place entirely in Animal Crossing, and then I also have a Twitch account that is as I announced today, it's going to be less active, and that's great.
That's awesome. I am so excited for the season of Last Crosser Standing. I am
too. So
yeah, no, and your editing skills. I know that one of my mods and I were just gushing over the fact that you have truly just found your editing era. It is so good. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited. Yes,
I had a lot of fun with the editing for this one. So
I can tell.
I feel like I was talking to someone. I think the last season was like a proof of concept. It was like, okay, this can happen, and we can do this, and we can make episodes of this. And this season, I'm like, all right, training wheels are off. Let's make this. So
well, that's actually a great segue into today's conversation. You are an avid Survivor watcher, like you watch it with your mom, you love talking about the various seasons from start to finish. What is the rating for Survivor? Do you know?
I think it's PG, actually.
Is it PG?
Which is
really?
surprising.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they bleep out all. They don't.
I see.
If there's any adult language, they bleep it out. And generally, like the conversations don't get. It's like intense, but it's not. They're not like saying a lot of F-bombs and stuff, so it doesn't. Yeah, I was surprised, but it is PG. Yeah,
that's so interesting because I was looking up the term family friendly because whenever I think of family friendly, I unfortunately think of the politics in the United States where family friendly usually means cishet, white privilege, focusing on keeping marginalized communities down, but in reality, family friendly is the rating where, the average family, the parents, the two kids, the dog, whatever, can just watch TV and there's nothing problematic. There's no adult language, sexually explicit material, no drug usage. And so I was surprised, for example, that Animal Crossing was rated E. I mean, I know that I guess rated E is anywhere around like 10 years old or something, someone who's old enough to play a game, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree that. Really? Yeah, I do think that family friendly is the rating that Animal Crossing deserves, but I don't think that the way we define family friendly is Correct. And I was also looking up for Stardew Valley, for example. It is also rated E for everyone, despite the fact that it talks about, drug usage, alcoholism. There is sexually explicit material, sexually explicit. But maybe we just need to change the way that we refer to family friendly and incorporate hard topics, which is why I wanted to have you on this podcast, because you decided to basically make your streams 16 plus, and you were very firm with that boundary. So what led to your decision to begin streaming with 16 plus in your title, and what does that mean for you?
One thing about that I was just thinking about as I was listening to you talk about, like what is rated everyone, what is considered family friendly, is I think that that I in general have noticed, and I don't think is true, is that family friendly doesn't mean devoid of substance in a lot of ways. I think games like Stardew Valley deal with mental illness. That doesn't make it inappropriate for children, right? Just in the way that Steven Universe is Cartoon Network, right? And I just say Steven Universe because
I love Steven Universe.
We love Steven Universe. But it deals with mental health and all of those things. Trauma, colonialism, maybe.
That too.
Well, kind of. Anyways, but I don't know where I was going with that. But it's just it is interesting that I feel like sometimes family friendly has connotations of being very everyone's happy all the time, and that's not necessarily true, which I think is fun. But so me becoming, but more defining myself as 16 plus. A lot of that was just about the content making conscious decisions about the content I was making, who I was making it for, and what my responsibilities were as a streamer and content creator to my audience. So I think when I decided that I wanted to be 16 plus, it wasn't necessarily a change in thought for me, because I always intended, my goal when I started making content, was never to appeal to kids and children. That has never been my target audience. My target audience has always been adults and just other people like me. And I always thought okay, if I'm fine with it, as long as I'm fine with other people coming in, with people who are younger coming in, as long as they understand that the space isn't for them. And I really quickly realized that children don't understand that. And I think it's not anything. It has nothing to do with them as people. It has nothing. It's not a flaw. It is literally just it kind of is in some ways outside of their cognitive ability. So I think for me it was just more of a formalization of a thing that I was already thinking about, because I never wanted to I just have no interest in making content for kids, which is I think people who do make content that's family friendly, that the entire family can consume, I think that's great, and I'm glad that there are places like that. I just don't want that to be the kind of stuff that I make.
It is very limiting for sure. And I think I want to go back and say that it's not that I don't think that Animal Crossing is for all ages. I think that we shouldn't be gatekeeping games that are for a wide range audience to have just family friendly content, because as you said, I think a lot of people believe that family friendly means that it is just it is tofu, it is what anyone can consume it. It is easy on the stomach. And I remember having a person come in asking me are you sure that you want to be talking about Roe versus Wade being overturned while you play Animal Crossing, which is for kids? And I'm do you not realize that my channel was the result of self-care for habitual miscarriages and making really hard, medical choices? And I don't think people really understand that we, as a society, are starting to try to keep kids in this little bubble of safety, and that's not how the world works. You're going to be confronted with situations, opinions that are not within your cognitive abilities to understand. And I think that it's really important to start establishing spaces like on EJ Plays where you have made the distinction that we're gonna curse. We're gonna, talk about sexually, spicy content because Coral. Oh my God, how can Coral Island not be spicy? Like, let's be real.
It's everyone's so hot. It's
so
illegal.
Who is your ride or die right now? I haven't seen your ranking video. Oh my God, I know.
I think there's like 6. There's at least 6 people I'm considering ending it all for.
Oh my God! Is Pablo one of them?
And giving up my life as a bachelor, in Coral Island and settling down with. There's so but I mean, honestly, the top 2 are probably Kenny and Mark.
Kenny's really?
Just so sweet.
Really?
Yeah.
What? He is a sweetheart. He is a
sweetheart, and I feel like it's like him. Mark is so like gruff and rough, and then obviously like Raphael because I love a himbo.
Oh my God.
But then Pablo is so suave.
Oh, I know. Pablo just does the once over when he sees you, and I'm like, "Excuse you, what's your number?"
Stop.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I got off topic. Sorry. Look, Coral Island is like my new hyper fixation, and anytime there's somebody else who is just all about the hotties, I lose my literal shit. So, you had already kind of expressed why it was important to you to establish that boundary, but has your community changed at all? On Discord, on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube?
I mean, I think the people coming into my streams are slightly different, just in the sense that I think before the 16 plus distinction was made, there was I got children in chat and stuff, and I was just like, hi. And I think we still, but honestly, no, I don't really think there has been a lot of change, because I think, again, I think me saying that my streams are 16 plus was not necessarily a change. It was more of just like a change in how I was like marketing. And it was just me, because I got people. There's like an infamous, in my community, I guess, there's an infamous incident where someone was saying that I shouldn't say gay because there might be kids watching, and I got on a little soapbox about it. But there was that kind of, I've never been that, so it was more of just like a formalization. So I don't think there was really too much of a change. I mean, my Discord's still 13 plus, which is interesting, and I like. Yeah. And it's honestly just like a thing that I think I'm just kind of leaving because I don't want to deal with it.
No, that's fair.
Being perfectly honest.
That's fair. I think that's really interesting that we are still really fighting for LGBTQIA plus content to be considered family friendly, because it absolutely is. I mean, how are we going to normalize queer children, normalize the experience if we don't start talking about it early? Which is why, again, I love Steven Universe so much for it. The fact that I was when I started seeing all the gay, literally all the gay, I was like, Rebecca Sugar, you queen! Oh my God! Yes. And I love her. And I remember, I keep seeing this as it's not necessarily a meme, but I see it resurface sometimes that, Legos had a pride thing, and they had to put an 18 plus rating on the package because it was gay. And so, ridiculous. Yeah. And so my issue with family friendly and, rated E for everyone is that I don't think that's actually the rating that we have for it. It's rated C for Christian values. That's the problem. So I think it's really important that when we talk about family friendly, yes, it allows for people of many age ranges to participate, but we also need to realize that YouTube, I think, has a requirement that you have to be 13 years old or older to even remotely participate in chat. And so, so the fact that there's 8-year-olds who are using their moms,
seem to not know.
I know, and I'm just for your safety and well-being, your parents need to have this conversation with you called internet safety. safety about, not disclosing your location, your name, your mother's maiden name, your social security number. Right. And it's not a content creator's job. And I remember you went on this soapbox, and it's very true that we are not obligated Twitter, to educate people on the safety of the internet. That is your prerogative, and that is your responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So I guess from moving from there, do you think that there is a place in cozy gaming communities for non-family friendly content creators?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people who consume, I think the cozy game market is like, at least from my perspective, like the idea of making a cozy game is not necessarily making a family friendly game.
I agree.
In any way. And I think that the cozy game community online, in terms of like, just the community that's sprung up around games that are considered cozy, is not disproportionately, but just like overwhelmingly adults. I think that's almost, I think that's most of the people who are consuming cozy game content. Because I think sorry, I live in New York City.
It's okay. I have a crying baby in the background, so don't worry about it.
Oh, great. I can't even hear that. That's great.
That's awesome.
Wow, look at us. Shout out to Discord. But what was I saying? Yeah, I think cozy games in general, I think, are just, what am I saying? I think there's 100% a space within the cozy gaming community in the online space. There's 100% space for people who are not tailoring their content for children. I think it's just, it's just going to happen. 100%. It's going to, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the cozy game, it has to do with the mechanics that we have. It's like, it's mindless. You can tune in. There's no time crunch. There's no, you can play it as you want. And I often refer to this from Angry Coconut and Amanda from the Amanda Files is like the trifecta of Animal Crossing drama. And it's like, sometimes you just need your trash TV. Sometimes you just need to hear of who's cheating on who, what drama unfolds, because that's creative. And I think what is really beneficial to the cozy gaming community is that it shows real people who approach cozy gaming as a way to show that there's so much content that you can create with it. And with adult content, it means that it's accessible to people who maybe don't like to watch reality TV on TV, but they like to watch reality TV on Animal Crossing, like yours truly. So it really does allow for the fact that also your I think was it Auna, your dystopian island. Holy crap. It was so cool that you applied a lot of the social issues that we don't often talk about, and yet cozy gaming, like what, the Stray Cat a cozy game, or Stray? Is that the game?
I don't know if it was. I don't think, I mean, I'm not a very good expert on what is and isn't a cozy game.
That's fair.
But I think it definitely, people were like, the cat game. So I think it appealed to a lot of people in the cozy gaming community because, we love cats.
No, that's fair. We do. Speaking of, how is Thomas doing?
He's great. He's actually, I was just looking back to check on him. I don't know if you can see, he's curled up on my bed right now. And he's...
I don't know if he's not brown.
It's like the dark lump just like on my, I love it. He like blends in with the blanket because he's gray and they're also gray. So, it happens.
Yeah.
But I also say, I will say also about, like, it's interesting. I think part of the reason why maybe I stick out in that way, I guess, is just like, I've never actually considered myself a cozy gamer.
Really?
And I honestly don't know that I do even now. Like, partially because when I got into content creation, like, I didn't even know what cozy games meant. I honestly cannot tell you today what a cozy game is, and like what, like it would be hard for me to come up with like a working definition of what a cozy game is. And I think that's just because a lot of like the things that I enjoy, I don't consider cozy games. Like because I love Animal Crossing, true, but I also love like Legend of Zelda and Hades and like Hollow Knight and all these other games that are not necessarily cozy. And I feel like for me, I like Animal Crossing and Stardew and Coral Island, not because of their cozy elements, but like kind of in spite of. I feel like.
Ooh. So what do you mean by in spite of?
What excites me about Animal Crossing is pushing against what the game is about. Like the game wants you. It's not to say that like cottagecore people and people who do like cottagecore and like very like cozy kind of like things are taking an easy route, but I think it is a route that is in line with a lot of what the game encourages. You know, I think like I'm much more interested in things that are like dirty and things that are like messed up and like
we love our tightness core. We love our tightness
and like
core.
rust, all those things. I think those are things that really come to define like if there is an EJ Play style, like what the EJ Play style is, which is like it is this juxtaposition of this cozy thing that is like Animal Crossing, aw, how sweet, and like this thing that's like darker and is a little more rough around the edges, and either that's Rust or that's social gameplay where you're stabbing people in the back, or that's saying fuck, like
yeah, that's fair.
So, and I think that's where and it's like in the competition between those two forces that I think I find a lot of interest in. So when I like Stardew and Coral Island because I like, bitching about the characters.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
On the characters, So, but I think like I'm never gonna be someone who's like, look at my like very aesthetic farm, which is like got all these flowers and the look at the swirlies. I don't know, but. I don't know if that makes sense. But...
No, it does. I think, as I said, I believe that there is some gatekeeping with what we define as cozy gaming and cozy content. And honestly, it really...
Do you think it's necessary?
I don't think so. I think cozy gaming was, like, the term had surfaced during the pandemic where people were at home and it was truly a way to connect with other people. And so when I think of cozy gaming, I do think of a mechanic where, you can play and not really worry about time crunches and, it's so accessible. Really, that's like my goal. But is it necessary? I don't think so. I think it's really just a brand. I think it's it's a way for people to, if you like this content creator, like Peyton from Peyton's Corner, May from May Crossing, I'm just going to like name all of our friends, Kato from Console Kato, EJ from EJ Plays. There's going to be like this wide range of people that we all know each other, we all love each other's content, so we have this ability to say, okay, so one person's content is going to be similar to the others to the point where I can just transition and not really, have to change my mindset of what I'm going to watch. And I remember... Actually, can I take a pause really quickly? My child is like screaming, so I'm gonna be right back.
No.
Yes, I know.
Baby,
I know.
Please calm down.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Thank you.
No worries. Hello, I was talking to your chat.
I know. I realized that I think what really annoys me about YouTube when it comes to members only streams is that I can't invite mods who don't have that membership role.
I think moderator should supersede.
Not only that, and then I could have turned you into a mod for the time, and then and then I just like boot you, like remove the wrench, fire you. But basically, what people are saying. So, hello Scott, hello Ruby.
Hi.
Yes, and Scott says hi EJ through the stream.
Hi.
It's Scott was saying that it's very real. It's very refreshing being able to have real and adult conversations along with the games we play. And I think that's the other concept of cozy gaming is that it is a very easy thing for people to connect with and then have these conversations for just reminding that we're human and that we're kind of all in this together. And I know that during the pandemic, people were going to each other's islands and, checking in. I know that family members were just checking to make sure everyone was still alive. It was a way for people to go to prom and to graduate and to just feel connected that way. And I think this is not the conversation for this podcast. I mean, it could be, but I do believe with Cozy Gaming, we're trying to chase the March 2020 vibes of what Animal Crossing means to us. And with that, we are expanding our views of what it means to kind of have a family-friendly experience, because the pandemic was probably the first time parents and just our society was having to confront a very real, very dangerous threat to a lot of people. And how do you talk about that in a way that is accessible to all ages, right? And so I think with Animal Crossing, it was a really great way for people to have these hard conversations, but at the same time, we have young children who are still trying to make developmentally appropriate choices and are effectively trying to do a Tumblr gatekeeping of like, well, this is not appropriate for YouTube because it's not for me, you know? And I'm like, then it's not for you. And if you don't want it, you can have any, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. I think it's like the idea of being, it's, well, because I was thinking, I was like, I don't know that I even look for family friendliness. Like, that's not something I seek out, right? And I think there definitely is, you know, if you're looking for like a family friendly thing, you know, I think like you might be, I think a lot of the pushback that I've always gotten in terms of just like things I talk about, mainly my language, on like streams and things, is just because people think, you know, and I don't blame them at all for this, you know, think, okay, Animal Crossing equals like children will be interested in it, therefore they could be watching, therefore you need to behave for the people who might be watching. And I think, and I understand that fully, and I understand that impulse, and I don't blame anyone for it, but I also disagree with it.
Yeah, sure.
And that it's just like, one, I honestly don't. Maybe, and this is honestly just because of like my upbringing. My mother was cursed like a sailor. Like, she's where I learned it from.
She's from Maryland, so yeah.
She's from Philadelphia.
Oh, that's even better.
She grew up in Pittsburgh, went to Philadelphia for college, then moved to Maryland. But
dang. Anyway,
she cursed like a sailor. She always has. My like second word was like shit. I think it was. Like, and that's not a joke. Like, one of my very first words was shit, and my dad was like, "Hey." But anyways, I've just never understood why these words are bad. Like, I don't understand how it's harmful for a kid to hear fuck. Like I get it. Like, we shouldn't be saying, and like, you know, I don't think kids should be running around being like, fuck this, fuck that. You know, okay, sure, but like, you should understand the weight that the word carries.
Sure,
but like, I don't think it's harmful if a kid is gonna hear, "Oh shit!" Like, how is that harmful?
EJ, let me be completely and totally honest. My son has heard a very colorful vocabulary because raising a newborn is so intense, and so
I'm sure.
I think there is some there's some classist goings on when it comes to cursing, because we always talk about how cursing is, you know, it's low class, it's low tier, it is, it's not intelligent. And I completely disagree, because from science that I read a couple of years ago, it really, people who curse tend to be a lot more in tune with their feelings, a lot more in tune with expressing themselves appropriately. And I do agree that it is important for people to understand that there is a time and place, right? That filters are important. I'm married to a teacher, so I've had to learn to, oh my God, I've had to learn how to filter myself with his colleagues.
Sure.
And that took me years. And I used to be really embarrassed and feel like, you know, I'm not classy enough to be amongst, you know, intelligent people. But, and that's effectively why I started YouTube, was that I wanted to improve how I talked, and I wanted to provide a way to work on how I communicated without, you know, cursing or fillers or anything like that. But unfortunately, when you are defined as family friendly, I don't define myself as family friendly, but when I fall into a similar, you know, circle with people who are family friendly, like Console Kato. I don't know if K Daisy considers herself family friendly. Pat from Nintendo Talk is pretty family friendly, all things considered, but
which I find fascinating.
I know, because I
find it fascinating that people consider Pat family friendly, because I don't think his stream, like, I don't, mainly just because I don't listen to his streams and think like, like, I don't think he's inappropriate.
No, but he's not. I think he strives to be very inclusive. That has always been Pat's strategy, is that he wants to be inclusive for people at the membership tiers so that it's affordable, but also he wants to continue to be, I think he's working towards a really big goal of being a Nintendo ambassador. And similar to Abdallah Smash, it's like you have to have that certain, like, not a tofu level, I don't mean that meanly, but you have to be effectively family friendly because Nintendo is quote unquote
100%. You have to be palatable.
Yes, palatable. That is a better word than calling somebody tofu. Oh my god, Pat, if you read this, I'm so sorry. But it's really hard when either you start off as not family friendly or you start off as family friendly and you want to expand your content, because what I've realized is I'm incredibly shy talking about like ranking Coral Island people in a sexual way on my channel, but that's where I want to go.
Purely sexual, just so we're clear. It wasn't just like, let's rate the sex appeal of these people. No,
it's true. Like, no, Leah can get bent. You don't have to. You can be an influencer, not a bitch. I'm sorry. Like, your personality revolving around your pretty face and then judging people based on, without any sort of like input or request for your criticism on my appearance, you can get wrecked, Leah. Like, I'm sorry. I get sorry. I know so many content creators who are up there who are just the sweetest people, and Leah has no excuse. Anyway, so I think unfortunately, family friendly is kind of like, or rankings and ratings make it very difficult for people to try to expand and try new things. And like I don't know if that's going to affect my channel negatively. I hope not, but I do think that we should probably start figuring out a different ranking from the content creator's perspective of what it means to be either to play cozy games and how we work with our community to be a well-rounded experience. Because I don't think it's our responsibility to it's not our responsibility to make the internet this well-rounded experience, but I think that we can work with our friends to really encourage them to go outside their comfort zone and be like, I'm kind of done not cursing. Life shit. Let's talk about it. Let's be real. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I don't know. I don't know if this is totally related to what you were just speaking about, but it was just, one thing when you were talking about, like, I don't know if we can make the internet more like make the idea of making the internet safe for everyone.
I know.
Is, I think, a fool's journey, for one thing. It's an impossible thing in a lot of ways. And also, like, it's not something that I think I respect people who attempt to be palatable for everyone. I just don't think, for me, it's something possible. And I also just, like, thinking about the internet of today versus the internet that I grew up with. For one thing, it's it was like the Wild West for one.
Yeah.
but for another thing, but one thing that I noticed is that, like, there are no online spaces for children that are specifically for children. There's YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
There's Netflix Kids.
Yeah.
There's Froggy Crossing, but there's not like, but like, websites like Neopets, websites like Club Penguin, like Toontown, things like all of these different websites that, or Postopia, even, if you remember this.
Oh my god, I never played. I never played it, but oh my god,
I was obsessed with it for some reason when I was a kid. I loved it. But, like, those spaces, there was internet and websites. Every brand had a website. Every like, and it was like an interactive, interesting experience. Like, you went on the Kellogg's website and it was Flash, and you would
the games.
It was a different era, but I think, like, one thing that I think is different is interesting is just that like now everything has been all. My Thai food is here.
Go get your Thai food. Go get your Thai. EJ, is such an interesting conversation. Yes, conversation is the new gender. Hi, have you been listening to me like talk about how lovely you are?
No, but I what is conversation? Is it the new gender? What?
So Scott was saying EJ trying to be for everyone would take away what makes EJ so entertaining to watch. And
well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that it's not. I, by my very nature, am not for everyone. I understand that, and I don't care. You know, like, so I could try to be more palatable, but I think that would involve sanding off a lot of the rough edges that make me in a lot of ways.
Human.
And I think it's not that like people who are by their nature more palatable are like changing something innate about them. I don't think that's true. I think they are that way.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Like, I know that I am someone who's like extreme, who has a lot of like, I'm very dramatic. I have lots of outbursts. I have lots of emotions. I get very loud. I scream, whatever. Like, and I know that a lot of people think that I'm like too much, and I don't care because I'm not making content for them then, you know? Well, it was just like, there was like literally like back when there was Instagram, like Animal Crossing gossip pages, like
what?
One of my pride and joys is that someone posted about me and someone said that they thought I was just too much, and I was like, incredible.
Do you have that screenshotted? I
do. I think so.
Can I put that on Gamers Gab?
Sure.
Oh my god.
I'll have to find it.
Could you imagine somebody having the time and energy to like be like that? Could you imagine? Like not in fun, but you know.
Right. Well, I think people forget that the content creators are like also extremely online. Like, we're gonna see what you say about us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
like,
for
that's
sure.
the thing, is that I feel like people have this perceived division between me, an audience member, and me and like the person on the computer. Mm-hmm. Where like you're like, yes, they are the entertainment, and they cannot see anything I do if I don't like chat to them. So if I can tweet about EJ Plays, I can make a submission to a gossip website, they won't see.
So speaking of Twitter, I remember. Yeah, speaking of Twitter, I remember that this one person went. I don't remember the tweet. I'm not going to like dox the person. I think that he was just trying to figure out Animal Crossing content and how wide range it is. But I remember that he had been critical of the fact that because he watched Pat from Nintendo Talk, that you would be of the same caliber and the same polished thing. And
they were like, yeah, they were like, enjoyed Sabotage League, didn't enjoy EJ's language, clean it up, there are kids watching, or something like that.
How did you feel about that? It's
interesting. I've like definitely softened. I'm a very I feel a lot of things in moments. I'm very reactionary.
Sure.
And I definitely, I don't know. I was very defensive and like very irritated.
Sure.
Frankly. But just basically because like one of the things is like I just don't like being told what to do in general.
You're such a Gemini.
So I was just like, excuse you, like it's my stream. And I just, so I think I was just very defensive and I was just very irritated by it. And I think I just tweeted it out, and I think, I don't even remember what I said, but it was a parody of their tweet. And they didn't tag me in the original tweet, so I just didn't tag them. Because I was like, whatever. And I was surprised because I think they did see it. And they were responding to people. Yeah, they were responding to people in the comments and be like, I didn't know this about EJ. Like, I didn't see the 16 plus. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't hold, if I saw that person on the street, it's not like I was going to be on site or anything. I don't think that person meant any harm with their comment. No. It was an interesting moment, because sometimes I forget that people who don't know me can also see me on the internet, you know?
No, that's fair. And that's, I think, our next big step with the cozy content community, whatever, is the fact that we are a wide range group of people. There's Raven from Froggy Crossing, and then there's, Total Drama Island with the Amanda Files. And so we're trying to find ways to interconnect in a way that I think kind of like blurs the line of what is quote unquote family friendly, because family friendly, in my personal opinion, should incorporate the fact that people are not just a one size fits all experience, and that we are showing people that the world is filled with so many different sorts of people. It's filled with so much out there that you may not be prepared for it. And I kind of want to hone in on something that you said, that you feel that people consider you a lot. And I disagree. I think that you are wonderful the way you are, and that people just haven't, evolved to enjoy where you're at. But I think, not to say that the person on Twitter was at all homophobic. I don't think that there's anything, bigoted about how he felt. As far as I know, I don't think so. But
I think calling me too much, I was like, would you say this to a straight person?
Well, would you say...
I did act. Mm-hmm. Well, I was like, would you say that to a straight person? I legitimately was like, is there some homophobia in this? Because
well, I
feel like there are plenty of straight guys who come onto these streaming things and scream and shout and let it all out, and do all of those things, and they are never called too much, or they are called too much, but it's like, I don't know, it's not derisive or something. I don't know.
I was mostly thinking that perhaps it was something that has to do with neurodivergence, because often people who are neurospicy, that's a term. Did you come up with that term, or is that something that, because I see that in your Discord of being neurospicy?
No, I did not come up with that.
Well, I love it.
That is someone in the little community, I think.
I love it.
Or at least introduce. I don't know if anyone in our community came up with it, but they at least introduced it.
Well, and I guess in general, I mean, I don't want to blatantly accuse somebody of homophobia, but I do think that marginalized communities in general are often told that they are too much, in the fact that just experiencing and who they are as people and presenting it not polished is somehow not family friendly, or it's uncomfortable because we live in a world that focuses on the comfort of white people, that focuses on the comfort of Christian conservative. Is it conservatism or conservatism? Anyway, you know what yeah, thank you. And I was curious, and I wish I would love to have this from Angry Coconut and Amanda from the Amanda Files talk about this, because I didn't want to scour their comments on their YouTube videos and asking people, calling them names, because I don't think that either of them deserve to have that. But I would love to hear if they are called too much on their channels, or if they have been hit with a similar thing that you have, because to be honest, as far as I know, you're really the only one that I've seen that gets hit with this quite frequently. And I don't know if that's because you're friends with Dan from Crossing a Minute and Cato from Console Cato, and they're more, palatable for a wider range audience.
Yeah, sure. A couple things. I mean, first of all, I don't think I get it a lot. I don't think I do.
Well, in the sense that I notice it with you. I notice it.
Right.
That's what I mean.
To be fair, I think the reason you notice is because I am very confrontative. So
love that.
I do not hide. When someone calls me out, I will post about them on Twitter and be like, "Hey, stupid, what are you doing?" So for one thing, I just am more argumentative and confrontative, I think, than at least than this, I think. Amanda, I think we would know. I think Amanda does not shy away from confrontation, which is one of her many.
I love that about her. She's so. Yeah. I love how honest she is. It's amazing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's why yeah. I think a lot of it, the criticism of being too much, I think is also, it's an interesting thing, because I think it both touches on it could be it's such a vague comment for one thing, so I don't know what their intention was. Like, what do you mean? I'm too much. What? Like, what do you mean? So it could be like, oh, you're overplaying your reactions, which then rings false for me, and it's like, okay, I'm not. Or like you're too loud, you're too expressive, you're too whatever. Which like then I'm like, well, why? Like like what does that mean to that? And who is it too expressive for? And then I think it more is reflective of like what they expect a male presenting person to like handle themselves. Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
this
also,
is kind of coming out.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But I would also say that people don't realize that content creation is effectively acting. You are an actor, right? Yeah. You are a professional performing artist, and so the being expressive is such an important skill that I don't have. I was trying to hone in on being sprightly and being like, out there, and holy crap, is it hard. Like, you make it look so effortless. You really do. And I think that's what I love about the fact that you use cozy content like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing to show how creative you are, because it means that it allows that skill set to be palatable and easy to incorporate and learn from. And so I think, unfortunately, maybe this is a conversation about whether or not marginalized communities are held to a higher standard, whether or not content creators are held to a higher standard of being, because, they just assume that content creation is the polished version of ourselves. And that's true, it is, but it is the polished version that we choose to share. And I don't even know if it's polished as much as curated. Oh, that's fair.
But I mean, you're totally right that like, content creation, me being on stream is not how I am in real life.
Really? What's the difference?
Well, it's not. I mean, I think the difference is very subtle, but it's there. I mean, we contain multitudes, and it's just the mode of being is not necessarily what you're going to see if you see me on the street.
That's fair.
I think I also seem a little more friendly online than I probably do in real life, because I've been told multiple times that I intimidate.
Do you have resting curmudgeon face? Is that
I
it?
do, yeah. Yeah, I do. I just have a very I have a prominent brow, a hooded lid, and I don't walk with a smile. So I just
You mean you?
I just always look like slightly pissed off.
But I think it's like you don't owe people a smile. You.
Well, no.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think like I have a very closed off face, so people just like natural. People are like, you seemed really pissed off that day, and I was like, oh no, I wasn't. I was just, I don't know.
It's just who I am. Yeah. And especially I know for a fact that I am neurospicy in as far as I'm aware, I'm not, clinically diagnosed with being on, the autism spectrum, but I do feel that my brain works very differently than, typical people. But I feel like it's really important that with the responsibility of figuring out what the vibe is, and this is like going back to the cozy gaming and like, I think we as a community can start saying that if we're going to have a wide range of content creators interacting in the same space, that we find a way to compromise in a way that allows for it to be a, what you see on one stream is going to be similar to what you see on the other. So I know that with, when you spend time with Kato and Dan, you tend to, keep yourself from cursing, or you try. And I think the more important thing about we're just gonna like skip what I was saying because I can't think it. But the one question I have is what has been the impact for you since you've decided to create at the 16 plus decided marker, and Scott has asked, you've decided to transition away from Twitch and back to YouTube, and how did you come to that decision?
Well, I think they're two separate questions
Sure.
for one thing.
Sorry.
Which is, no, it's fine. I think that like, but I think but I think they're two separate questions, but I think there is a connection between them. So, I mean, I'll start with the 16 plus thing, and that is just that I think my content in general, I feel freer in a lot of ways. I don't think that there was a lot of change in terms of my the content that I was putting out. Again, like I do think that just like me saying 16 plus was just like a formalization of like something that was unspoken before. But honestly, a huge thing for me was just that I actually read the monetization guidelines, and like I realized that like you can cuss actually, and you won't be demonetized at all, as long as you're not like stringing together impressive combos of like expletives. Like, but if you're saying like, oh fuck, like every now and then, like that's fine. Like you actually like you have to tell them that you do that, like in the monetization, but like it's not going to negatively affect it, which was like a huge thing for me because I was like, oh bet, okay, cool. Because like honestly, that was the only reason I wasn't cussing. So I don't know that it's necessarily impacted my content a lot. I just like am less worried about it, and so in that way it's allowed me to be a little bit less like, because even though I like felt like I was still like being me or whatever, being EJ, you know, I think I definitely was I still had the worry in my head of like someone's parent coming on and be like, why are you talking about these things in front of my child? And I think I just stopped worrying about that a lot more, because I was like, listen, actually it's not my fucking job to parent your kid. Maybe you should be watching what your kids are watching, and if you have a problem with it, stop them from watching it. I don't have to appeal myself to be for your kid anyways. But yeah, so I think it just like allowed me to be a little bit more relaxed, and then with the move to Twitch, that was more of just like a focus thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, there was one thing is that I moved from YouTube, streaming on YouTube and Twitch, to just streaming on Twitch for like a few months. And that was both because, one, I wanted to be partnered on Twitch because I love a check mark, and I know that it's stupid, but like, listen.
No, that's fair.
I am not above the dopamine rush, okay? But so part of it was that. And then another part was just like that I felt that on YouTube, I had to put on more of a show, it felt like.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that was not necessarily from the people in the chat, but more from me, right? Like, it's not like there was anyone in chat being like, no, you better keep that part of you away. It was my own anxieties about it, right? I was like exhausted from being what I called YouTube EJ, and I think what people on Twitch chat called YouTube EJ. So I was just like, you know, I'm like sick of it. I don't want to do this anymore. And so I stopped doing it. And then when I was on Twitch, I missed YouTube. And I was like, oh, I like miss streaming there though. What the hell? Like, and YouTube has always been the goal for me. I didn't get into this. I never watched Twitch until I started making stuff on YouTube.
Same.
Yeah, like I never gone on Twitch until I made a friend who was like, oh yeah, it was Joe. If you know
Joe Bazaar. I love Joe Bazaar.
Yeah. Oh, it was Joe. Like we became friends on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh, he streams on Twitch. I should go check this out." And that's the reason I got into Twitch. So, but
it's all
YouTube has. So Twitch has never been the goal for me in any way. But yeah, so like I felt more free on Twitch in a lot of ways. So being on Twitch solely, I was missing YouTube a lot. But I was really enjoying the way that I was interacting with stream. So I was like, you know what? What if I just try doing this on YouTube? And what if I come back to YouTube and I say, actually, I don't care. I'm not going to be YouTube EJ. I'm just going to be me, the me that I am on Twitch, and I'm just going to do that here, and we'll see what happens. And I found out that that was the perfect marriage. That was the platform I wanted to be on and the content I wanted to make. And I was like, oh, cool. So this is great. And then at that point, it was just a matter of time before I said, actually, I need to stop focusing on Twitch in any way. I think I said in a tweet, like, it's a side quest. And
I thought that was clever. Oh my God.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
I like that. I like that turn of phrase.
I totally understood what you were talking about. And what you were saying actually tied back to where I had this total brain fart was I think what I love about the way that we are shifting cozy gaming with the rating is that being for everyone means it's for everyone. That means people who are neurospicy, people who are, people of color, who are queer, who are trying to figure their shit out. And that means we have the ability and the responsibility to be honest. And it doesn't mean that we have to like put our entire selves out there, that we can be polished, we can be curated. But at the end of the day, I think it's important that we start establishing spaces for people who want to see people be human. And that for me is the majestic part of why I love your content, because I know that the cursing can be perhaps problematic to some other people who have the wrong opinions, but I think your content is always an inspiration, because it means that you are a very thoughtful, a very kind-hearted, a very welcoming person for those who do see that you are not too much, that neurodivergent people are not too much, that queer people are not too much, and that the content we create is for people who are, when they're ready, I think that's how we should start figuring out creating our community from going forward, is really embracing the community building aspect of, if it's going to be rated E for everyone, it's going to be rated E for literally everyone. And that includes spaces for 16 plus people. So I think, is there anything else that you wanted to add to this conversation? We are officially over an hour, and I wanted to be conscientious of their time.
No, I mean, I honestly, like,
sorry,
there probably is more. There probably is more.
I can have you back if you had a fun time.
I mean, I feel like, well, okay, listen, let me just say the last thing that I want to say, and I'll just, like, we'll see. My worry is, like, that it'll just, like, cause us to, like, spiral.
Continuing to talk.
But so, I mean, I think it's just the idea of, like, and I think this is from a background, I think it's, I'm gonna say, I think it's that a lot of white people feel this way, is the idea of inclusion, and it's like the idea of not being racist. It's the idea of, it's like, oh, as long as I say it's for everyone, that's fine. But I'm going to continue to tailor the way I behave towards the tenets of white supremacy.
Sure.
And towards the tenets of, like cis heteronormativity, whatever. Like, all those different, like, I'm going to continue to be that way, but it's for everyone. Don't worry. And it's like, you're actually not being inclusive. You need to consciously do those things if you're going to be inclusive. You can't, it's not something that's subconscious, because the subconscious thing is actually white supremacy, racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia. All of those things are power structures that exist and are instilled into us and into our subconscious from the day that we're born. So if you're going to be inclusive, you need to make it a conscious effort, because if you don't, and if you don't say, like, oh, I'm going to be inclusive, like, it's not going to happen. It doesn't just happen.
It's so hard. I mean, I do feel that I think what people forget is that being human is a constant learning process, and you're going to make mistakes. And the one way that you do it is say, like, I'm sorry, I'll be better. Like, and you do your own research. You don't put the burden on the people that you're trying to be inclusive with how to be inclusive. You do your own fucking research. And so I think that's a really good conversation to have. And I would love to have, like, a more, I would love to actually have a what was the term, a meeting, like a group conversation, a summit, yes, a summit, an inclusive summit with like a bunch of content creators of the lessons learned of what it means to be inclusive for them, and like the real hard conversation, not like, oh, I like incorporate all these fun things for being like family friendly and whatever, but I'm like, no, like we're going to talk about how we had to deal with our internalized prejudices, and and how we approach that with our content and the lessons learned from that. So I think that'd be really cool. The final thing before we finish, EJ, by the way, thank you so much for being here, for being fabulous. What?
Thank you. I said, this part, right.
Yeah. It's okay. Like, it's all right. You've been a fabulous co-host. Thank you so much for being part of the return of Gamers Gab. Thank you for your time. And we're going to finish here by asking the question, if there was a content creator that you would like to see on Gamers Gab, who would it be? And what would the topic be?
Okay. I think this feels right based on the conversation that we had. Specifically around our conversation around neurodivergency and things like that. And I think Gia Kimchi.
I love Gia.
Gia's great. Gia was recently featured on Last Crosser Standing, Ties That Bind. I think they are a very inspiring person to me, in the sense that like not inspiring, but like they're just someone who I really enjoy. I want to hear what they have to say about neurodivergency, ableism in the video gaming and streaming community, because I think a lot of conversations I see is how like the grind culture is, obviously not able. It has a lot of these things embedded in them. But I think Gia Kimchi. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, I'm actually I'm mutuals with them on the interwebs and love them. But Gia is an amazing content creator, a fantastic artist. I love how honest they are on Twitter. So I'll definitely reach out, because one of the things that I've noticed, speaking of inclusion, is I definitely, even now, I have asked assigned male at birth content creators to be on Gamers Gab, and that's not good enough. I mean, I love ya. I think you're great, but I need to have more voices, more people to share what makes this community amazing. And so that is my goal. So EJ, if you could. You have this lovely ending phrase that you add on every single video. Could you do it for us?
Do we want to also acknowledge that you are part of the reason that it exists?
Don't make me blush on my own stream, EJ.
It's not
EJ,
blush,
I'm married.
it's straight facts. No printer.
There's nothing straight about me, EJ.
True. Fair. But no, you came up with. You helped me. I think I was in stream one time, and I was like, basically, I don't know if I was workshopping it, but I was like trying a couple different things, and you said something in the chat, and I was like, yes, and I took that, and it's been in it from day one.
I'm so
You came up with the "Say You."
Did I?
Yes.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I said I was like, "Stay cute, stay hydrated," which was essentially just like a very watered down version, hydrated, of "Stay sexy and don't get murdered," because I was my favorite murder fan. And so I took that, and you said the "Stay You."
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's a callback to the intro. I was like, love it, great.
Oh my god, that is so funny. I didn't realize that was me. I just thought that was that's why I thought it was brilliant, because I.
You're like, wow, whoever came up with this is really smart.
No, well, what I also found really funny was I don't copyright words or phrases or anything, because there's no such thing as an original thought anymore. But I started incorporating happy time zones, because it's so hard to I live in Korea. I'm 13 hours ahead, and so it's so inclusive of whoever everyone is. And other content creators have started saying happy time zones, and I'm like, love that.
Yeah.
So that totally just boosted my spirits for the rest of the day. EJ, holy shit.
Of course.
Thank
good
you.
way to start your day, because it is famously Happy Time Zone Saturday.
Yes. So, so how is it?
It's stay cute,
stay cute,
stay hydrated, and most importantly,
stay you. All right. Well, EJ, thank you so much. And we're going to call it here. Thank you, friends, for being part of the recording, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.